pull this up, straight up. It's held in by two little pins back there into rubber bushings. Disconnect the mass airflow sensor connector. It's kind of hard to see and reach, but unplug that. And with an 8mm or a flathead, whatever you have available, let's loosen up this clamp that holds the hose onto the mass airflow sensor. You don't have to remove this all the way, you just have to loosen it up enough so it can let go, and then you can slide this whole engine cover / air box out. Now take it and wiggle it off so we can break away from this hose. Push it towards the windshield, and you can put it up here out of your way. Remove this hose, take the hose clamp and pull it off. There we go. Pull that aside, and if you have to do this, just be gentle, but if you break it free, if you twist it with pliers, it'll break free. Now you can slide it off. There we go. All right, set that aside. Take either a pocket screwdriver or a little trim tool like this, whatever you have, but something that'll pry this lock up and off. Now you can grab the connector, press on the locking tab right here, wiggle it until it comes off, and set that aside. Now with a 10mm, unbolt the 4 bolts, one on each corner, that hold this throttle body onto the intake. And I'm going to take this hose off with it, just because it'll be easier to reach the hose clamp, which is here, once it's off. Break these free. Like I said, there's one on each corner. Once they're broken free, they'll come off by hand. Once all of these are off, wiggle the throttle body, remove it from the intake. Now let's take this hose off. With an 8mm or a flathead, remove this clamp, or loosen it up. I guess you don't have to remove it all the way. Now you can take the throttle body and take the hose off. And here's your old throttle body. It's always a good idea to replace this gasket, and our throttle body comes with one. So take this old one off. Make sure the area is clean. This one's okay. And reinstall the new gasket. Make sure it actually goes in everywhere. As you put it in, it's going to want to fall out from where you started, just because it's trying to follow the shape. So there you go. New gasket's installed. Take your new throttle body and this intake hose. I'm going to put it on with it off the car. That way it's easier to tighten up the hose clamp. There we go. Position it like it was before, approximately, and let's snug up the clamp. That's tight. Let's install it. Bring it over, line it up with the new gasket, and start the bolts in by hand. You don't want these to cross thread, so make sure they start on properly. That one's good, that one's good, that one's good, and last one. Now let's snug them up, and then we'll torque them. Now let's torque the throttle body to 89 inch-pounds. That converts to about 7.4 foot-pounds. So it's not very tight. Okay, that's tight. All right, this last one on the other corner I can't get to with a torque wrench, so I'm just going to snug that up by hand. Reconnect the electrical connector, make sure it clicks, and then don't forget to lock in the locking tab right there. Now let's bring this hose back to where it belongs. Make sure it's bottomed out, seated all the way. Let's put the hose clamp on. I like to put the hose clamp about where it was before because the hose is molded to it. That's going to help it seal the best. Bring this cover back over. If your intake hose here popped off, it actually goes right into that hole over there. So put it back, bring the cover over, take your engine cover with the intake and air box, slide it over this intake hose, set it down, and let's tighten up that clamp. All right, make sure it's nice and snug. Plug in the mass airflow sensor. line up the two little pins with the rubber bushings on the back. Press this down and on. Now you can start the vehicle, make sure that it runs properly, you have no check engine light, and take it for a road test.